The Stirling Ranges brooding off in the distance, looking quite formidable from here. So yeah, we'll be climbing those over the next couple of days, all going well. And of course with the name of Gwalia, which literally means Wales, how could I not go there? So effectively I would have done the Nullarbor in 2 days. Quite famous. Yeah, they really got some nice beaches. Stirling Ranges. Look at that. Let's get on it. This is the setup we got today. We're on Mount Trio Caravan and campsite, which is in the shadow of Mount Trio. You can see just through the trees over there. There's another one over there, which I'm not sure what that is. But basically we're right on the edge of the Stirling Ranges National Park. It's a nice campsite. You've got powered and unpowered sites. There's plenty of space, as you can see. There's a little bankhouse there with table tennis and a little play area for kids. Just behind Delilah we've got the camp kitchen, which is a very well stocked camp kitchen, and a little area the other side near a fire. When it gets a bit chilly you can sit around there. Plenty of chairs to relax on and books to read, etc. And it's actually built as a ski lodge, so I'm not sure if they get a good enough snow ski season up here. And then to the right of that is the ablution block, so showers, toilets, etc. The water on tap here is drinkable. It's rainwater, filtered, and you're surrounded by farmland here. So when I was driving in, for example, spotted 2 emus in the field, in the wheat field, so I stopped to take some photos, and I'll see if I can show you some of those. Sitting here earlier, I could hear somebody, as if somebody was walking in the leaves behind me. So I turned to look, and there was a big goanna, approximately 1.5 meters in length, walking behind me. So I stopped to take some photos of him as well. I'll show you some of those photos as well. And then sitting here, just chilling after a shower and getting clean and what have you. And let me see if I can zoom in. All of these black cockatoos just flew in, and then they're just sitting there in the tree. Okay, you just join us. We're at 20 past 3 in the morning. We've just arrived at Bluff Knoll car park, just having a bit of breakfast, and now we're going to walk up to the top, hopefully in time for sunrise. And we'll see how it goes, yeah? Let's get into it. So it's getting closer to sunrise, and I've still got some way to go. It's now 20 past 4. Sun's due up at 4:45, so we gotta get my skates on. So we're up the top, and apparently the sun is up somewhere over there. We got a bit of a cloud inversion going on. But yeah, we're not high enough to be above the cloud, unfortunately. So glad I came up here before sunrise. It's still pretty cloudy up here, so just stopped to have some braggie. There's a big pasta dish I made last night, so I could have some for dinner and bring some up the mountain with me, and some for lunch when I get back. Still fairly cloudy. It's now like 5:15 in the morning AM. I'll give it till about 5:45, and if it's still like this, I'll head back down. So for anybody that has ever wondered what it would be like to walk amongst the clouds, I can tell you, bloody freezing. We're in a cloud inversion at the moment, on the top of Bluff Knoll in the Stirling Ranges, and it is freezing. Let me see if this, as you can see, like the wafts of moisture in the air that are just whipping through. But yeah, I'm not the only one left up here. Everybody else has kind of jacked it, called it, and said enough is enough. It's pretty cold. I'm going to give it another 10 minutes, and if it doesn't look any brighter, I'm going to head down. Apparently right out there is like a really fantastic view. Like seriously, somebody showed me on their phone what it was like yesterday. And it was fantastic. But oh well, I'm either gonna have to come back up here or live vicariously through others, because it is pretty cold up here. The Bluff Knoll is the only kind of summit in Western Australia that gets snowfall in winter. Like the Mountain Trio campsite where I'm staying also has a snow sort of ski chalet or whatever. I don't know if that's a bit of a piss take or what, but given today's weather, you know, I think it certainly could get cold enough to snow over here. Skiing, I'm not sure, but yeah, snow, definitely. Yeah. There's my sunrise view. Oh well, we do these things not because they're easy, but because they are hard. It's supposed to be better for us. Okay, I'm calling it. I've been up here for an hour now, and it is bloody freezing. There's no kind of sign of it easing up. So, yeah, time to head down. Like, look at that. Look at it. It is freezing. Yeah, so so glad I come up here for dawn. I have to thank my mate Mike Sterry for that. Great idea, mate. Great. Now, at least one thing to notice on the way up and down the mountain this morning, even though it's continuously in bursting cloud, is these mountains and flowers. Look at them, they're beautiful. Mostly the yellows. We also got these delicately blue and lilac ones. But yeah, they're quite vibrant in contrast against the dark rock, you know. Yeah. There's the car park down there, like. Hopefully Delilah's still there when I get there. Pretty much is steps all the way up. There's a little part on the top where it flattens out a little bit. Apart from that, these steps, and they're the gradient is pretty constant all the way, which makes it quite energy sapping, especially when you're carrying all your camera gear, which is about 15 kilos. Fun times. By the way, I didn't take my camera out once. All the photos I've taken have been on my phone. So I may as well have left this bag in the car. So we're less than 2 k's away from the car park now, and we're just starting to drop below the cloud line. Let me just flip this around for you. So there's the cloud cover, totally enveloped the top, like, and you can just see it starting to break there. There's the car park and pastoral land across there. This is like seriously the best view I've had all morning. I was considering maybe going back up until you look back up the path. Yeah, it pretty much looks like this level of cloud is going to be in for a while. Probably until late morning, I'd imagine, but we'll have a little watch from below. Might even do a time lapse, maybe. We will see. So we're now 1.5 kilometers to the car park. I've taken some layers off because it's no longer that cold. But if you look, you know, there's the cloud embankment. It's just thick. It's still there. Doesn't look like it's moving anytime soon. But yeah, it's quite dramatic. I like some kind of parrot through there. Anyway, let's crank on. So I noticed this geology on my way up. It looks like some kind of schist, or in parts possibly a gneiss. Yeah, the sheen just caught my headlamp this morning. You can tell. Yeah, I'll have to do a bit of research and see if I can find out what the makeup of this mountain is. Yes, I'm a geology nerd. So we're almost back at the car park and it started to rain. I think it was a good decision to get off the mountain. What's the last thing you want to see when you finish a mountain walk? It's a bloody hill. Going back to what I said previously about, you know, a bugbear of mine is when you're climbing something, you know you're going to be going up, and you immediately start coming down. It just means that you surrender in the high ground, and in this instance, and in every instance, when you're coming back, it always means you're going to finish by going uphill. I really, really hate that. Just go back to the car park now. This is the view up. So you can see that it was very pointless for me staying up there any longer, because I wouldn't have seen anything. It wouldn't have changed, and you know, I could have got frostbite or hypothermia or something. As you can see, it's still raining, so I'm gonna get back to the car, drop this off, put some warm stuff on, and get a cup of tea on the go. Tea go in, rather than getting the entire cooker out, just gonna get a quick cuppa on and have a snack. So, all in all, this morning's been a bit of a washout. I'm absolutely shattered. I just had a cup of tea to kind of warm up, and it's done me a world of good, to be honest with you. And yeah, like these things happen, you know. Things don't always go as planned. It was a nice walk, nice to exercise myself anyway, and get up and down the mountain, get some fresh air in, get amongst nature. You know, it's all good, even though you didn't get the views and everything. Even now, it's still covered in covered in clouds, so yeah, you wouldn't have really seen much at all. The one good thing about this kind of weather, you know, if you're looking for a silver lining, is there's been no flies, which is quite a thing, really. I was just reminded about this because I can see them crawling on the outside of the car. So as it kind of dries out and warms up, the flies are coming out. They're actually like feeding on the dead bugs on my windscreen, which is quite weird. But there we go. There was one just on the windscreen in front of me when I started to film. Pretty wet weather. Let's get back to camp. Maybe even go back into the swag for a bit. Maybe have some hot food. Definitely a hot shower. And just start to feel a bit more human again, and thaw out a bit, because I'm quite. The cup of tea helped a lot, but I'm still quite cold and a bit achy and a bit tired as well. So home, put things to dry, maybe even put a wash on. I don't know if they got a laundry there, but if not, I'll show you the mobile laundry I've got. But then if it's well, we see what the weather's like at camp, because if it's going to be like this down there, then it's pointless doing weather washing. But get back, put things to dry, and go and have a hot shower. Get into some warm, dry clothes. Sounds like a plan. All right, let's go to it. I'm now showered and freshly cleaned and feeling a bit more human after my freezing cold walk this morning. The flies are back, unfortunately. But yeah, just to go back to the setup here we got here. So we got the solar blanket out. The lithium power station is almost full already. It's been on now for about an hour and a half, maybe, something like that. This is once again the OzTrail camper fly I've got set up with the OzTrail extendable tent poles. Now you can see it's pretty windy here. I had to take them down last night, halfway through the night, because well, the wind blew one peg over and the whole thing collapsed. So far as these flies go, they're very good when it's not windy. When it's windy, they're an absolute nightmare to put up and take down. Absolute nightmare, because they are effectively like a big sail. So I'm having second thoughts about possibly getting an awning. The 270 degrees Foxwing awning will fit on the Jeep, because it's only 1.5 meters long and wraps around 270 degrees. So I'm highly considering looking into that after these flies. I like the idea of the flies. You know, you can set them up and leave them and drive away. But every single time I've left them to their own devices, I've come back and they've been down, either because the wind's blown them over or because somebody's taken them down because they were worried they were going to rip themselves to shreds. Granted, it's been quite windy since I started this journey. The wind hasn't really relented at all. The rain, thankfully, has. You keep hearing me do that, it's to get flies getting in my eyes. Anyway, Delilah's looking splendid as usual. The Cooper's tyres are looking a little bit dusty, as is the wheelie bin on the back, which I'll show you in a second. The rooftop boxes from Caos Gear are starting to warp, I guess is the word. As you can see, they're ratcheted down, and at the front you can see is forming a little gap because it's pulling the lower box into the roof rack. Now I still refuse to drill holes in the bottom of them and ruin the airtight seal, but when doing up the clasps yesterday I noticed that the end one closest to the front of Delilah wouldn't shut properly. You had to force it down and then put the padlock on straight away, otherwise it'd pop back open. So yeah, I foresee issues going there, and I'm still umming and ahhing whether or not to get a rooftop tent. The suspension, both the shock absorbers and the springs from Dobinson's, I've been doing a grand job so far. The you know, not just the lift, but you can see the lift. It looks massive, but not just that, but the drivability of it. Going over the rough corrugations yesterday and the day before, you know, they really did their job, and hardly felt any vibrations inside. However, the license plate holder did drop off, still minus one screw. So what I did is I took the spacers out and then screwed them back in, and then put the license plate back on top. The paracord there is just as a backup, just in case the worst happens. If we just zoom out here for a second, we've been going through a lot of unsealed roads, and the red dust that is quite intrinsic in Australia is absolutely covered the back of Delilah and the wheelie bin. Like for instance, if I, you know, it's just absolutely everywhere. And it started to rain earlier when I was coming down the mountain, and I thought it might give us a bit of a wash, but all it did is form slabs of mud around the place. It wasn't enough rain to wash off everything. So yeah, the Oricom USB is a DB6. Is doing the job so far. I haven't had to use it that much, just to really pass road trains. And this is the antennae holder from Front Runner. You got the facility to just pull the mechanism in underneath, and then you can slot it down into any position where the holes are. So if you're going through something very low, you don't have to take the antennae off. You can just do that, and then up to the driving position. So that's worked out really, really well so far as well. The solar blankets I've been extremely impressed with. It charges the solar power station, the lithium power station. It charges that faster than it will off the mains. I used the headlights and the spotties last night for the first time. Spotlights still need to be aligned. We're going over the heavy corrugation, forced them apart, and they're basically all over the place. So need to do something with them. I'll try and get out tonight and do that and tighten them up. The Osram Halo 7-inch headlights, LED headlights, are working fantastic. Even without the spotlights on, the increased visibility at night was amazing, seriously amazing. Not too much difference between low beam and high beam, I will point out. And the halos just look amazing in the night as well. So these little door side steps that I got from Wish, if you're not familiar with Wish, it's basically like a cheap Chinese on-site version of eBay, I guess. I would never order clothes from there, by the way, but bags and products have, yeah, I'd say 3/4 of the time come back really well. And these are really good. They're good quality. Oh, that one's starting to stick because the dust is getting in. But essentially, yeah, they just screw into the existing bolt holes from the door hinges. You just had to kind of put duct tape all the way around, well, not all the way, but several places in the door, unscrew it so the door doesn't fall out of alignment, and then screw these back in. And they're great. I use them occasionally. However, because they're on the front, I only really use them to get to the front of the roof rack. I can't help but feel that if you had the forward door, the second one would be just where the front door finishes basically, and would give you a lot better standing position to get up to the roof rack. But on the two door, I mean, aesthetically they look good, but realistically I hardly use them. Yeah. So there we are. Sleeping arrangements. At the moment I'm using the King's single, which I got from 4-Wheel Drive Supercenter. By far cheaper than all the other products online, and you can probably see why. Something they never show you on the advert is how it basically sinks in on the sides. On the adverts they always show it with the one side open or both sides open, so you can see through the middle, so it doesn't look as obvious. Now it's just one of the service trucks going around treating the plants or whatever. It's just there. But one workaround is that I'm looking into is if I tie things 3/4 of the way down each end and pull them taut, it will actually pull this. Now there's an added bit of noise there, so I'll pick this up when he's finished. Okay, so I've just had a little bit of a lie down in the middle of the day. After getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning to go and climb the Bluff Knoll. I was a bit tired. I'm in the swag, so I may as well kind of show you around. It's a bit lighter than the other morning. Oh. So yeah, inside the swag, you can see I've got one side kind of rolled up, then the light in, but the breeze in as well. I've also got this window here open to the max. There it is, a fly sheet in the way, so I've kept the flies out. Very tired. Now I've also got the okay, I thought I had that window open all the way, but I will open that to get some air flowing through this to help keep it cool, because this one is closed and is in the sun, and when you know it's hot to touch, you can feel it. So if you had both of these down throughout the day, the air inside here would turn into a bit of a furnace. It's actually quite cool in here at the moment, apart from this one wall, which what I'll do is I'll roll up the outsides on both sides just to get the air through and cool this down before tonight. Yeah. So, for people wondering what a swag is basically like a small tent, but it comes with a mattress. So, under there you can see this mattress. I've got a mattress cover on top, but that is mattress. And that stays inside the swag when you roll it up. On top of that, I've got a king-sized duvet, which what I've done is I've just folded it in half, so it's effectively like a sleeping bag that's open on one side. I prefer this to a sleeping bag, although you can use a sleeping bag. I prefer this because it's less constrictive than the sleeping bag, and you get that added bit of comfort underneath as well. And also I got a pillow. this particular swag comes with these pockets underneath to keep your valuables in. It's not well positioned really. And you've got these little loops in case you want to roll up the fly sheet, and you can tie these off outside so you can have it completely open to the elements if you want. Although I have no idea why you'd want to do that with the amount of flies in Australia. But as I was showing it outside of the King's one, these sides swag in, there would be so much more room if it held the shape a bit better. But especially when the outside sheet is down, it does feel somewhat like a coffin in here. But I had what was known as a coffin tent in the UK, and I only used that a couple of times. But it was small enough you could roll it up, this size, and put it into your backpack to go in case you needed to camp out on top of the mountain. Now, this one, you've seen it on the front of the Jeep when it's rolled up. It's massive and it weighs a substantial amount as well. So, yeah, I'm not sure if I will stick with the swag. I sleep pretty well in it, so that's good. But I'm struggling to see how a swag is better than a normal tent, basically. I can get a bigger tent with more space, which will compact much smaller, be much lighter. For some reason, I have no idea why, tents just don't seem to be very popular in Australia. And when you can find a tent in Australia, they are really expensive. I used to have a pop-up tent in the UK. It was called a Blackout 2, and it compacts about the same size as my privacy tent, and it's a pop-up. You just chuck it in the air, poop, it pops up, and then you hammer it into the ground. And I used to come with, it's got a fly sheet and an inside sheet as well, and I was fully waterproof, very wind resistant. I should have brought it to Australia with me, really. The only issue there is it's black, and it would be boiling inside in Australia. But I did see somebody recently with a Mountain Hardware version, which was silver, like a reflective silver, which might help keep the tent cool. But as I say, I haven't seen many of them around in stores, so I should have asked them where they got it from, really. Other than that, I might get a rooftop tent to go on Delilah. The whole idea again in the front runner roof rack is that it can hold a substantial amount of weight. I think it's got 350 kilos dynamic weight. So it would more than cope with a rooftop tent, which averages between 65 and 90 kilograms. Rooftop tents are very popular in Australia. I didn't see any in the UK, but that was a few years ago. Perhaps it's just a thing. Okay, I'm struggling to find anybody who's got a rooftop tent at the minute, but they are around, honestly. Right, I'll get out of here and continue my little walk around so I can stop yawning. The thing I always do with my swag is keep it zipped up away from the ground. Always in the same place, so in the middle of the night, you know where it is, you quickly get in and out. But more importantly, so that no bugs on the ground. There's a lot of bugs on the ground in Australia, let's face it. You make it more difficult for them to get through that there's a tiny little gap between where the two zips meet. And we're just making it a little bit more difficult for any kind of climbing bugs, ants, etc. to get in. Yeah, so that's the swag really. That's the camper fly again, which is keeping the majority of the sun off. It's also waterproof and it's quite windproof, but it does act like a big sail. Tied it onto the Jeep for safekeeping today. The wind, when it picks up like it just did. I've also added these spring tensioners on the bottom, so instead, if the wind does gust, instead of just ripping it off, these things will actually have a little bit of give in them, and then you know, still keep it taut. What I've found with these is one of the best things to do is to keep them as taut as possible. So adding in these spring tensioners do help with that, because you can keep it tight as well as ensuring or minimizing the risk of the wind kind of ripping it. Although the fixtures so far seem to be quite sturdy and withholding. But it does seem like some, you know, it's only a matter of time before that rips off basically. But so far it's holding well. This is on a spring tensioner as well. The middle ones are not. If you're wondering what the hell that peg is, I just found it on the ground, so I thought I'd use it. Some cheap peg. Alright, and as you can see, you know, it gives a decent amount of shade, but not completely. So the thing with the camper fly is it's not big enough to cover the entire swag that way. If you did it coming this way, it would, but then you wouldn't get much height out of it, and it wouldn't cover much else. So this way it's just a little bit of shade, mostly for, you know, seating area and actually doing something. And then if it did rain, as you can see here, if it did rain, then, you know, it's just another layer of water protection for the swag. The swag is waterproof and pretty decently waterproof as well, but, you know, it's just an added layer basically. Yeah, that's good. One thing that's quite annoying I found is I've got my little gas canister on the roof there. It's just underneath a cover. It's just ratcheted to the roof. I haven't got a holder for it. It's quite a small canister, and I'm struggling to find somebody that makes a holder for it. So every time I want to cook using my Hyperflame, I've got to take that off. So that means undoing the ratchet, unfeeding the straps, blah blah blah, and bringing it down. Predominantly I have the Hyperflame on the drop down tray here. I've tried to see if I can get a cable, a pipe that'll go from the gas flame up to the roof, so I could just leave it up there and just attach it. They don't make any ones longer than the ones I already have, and you can't find, they don't, it's apparently illegal to sell adapters to put two together. However, you know, they make these long ones for caravans, etc., so I don't see why they can't do it for something like this. So I will investigate when I get to Bunbury. I bought these attachments from Front Runner to mount these lights. These lights basically, when I bought the front spotlights from Four Wheel Drive Supercenter, they love doing combo deals. So for the two spotlights on its own, it was I think like $320, or you can have it with these two little LED lights for $330, so for an extra $10 basically. So I thought, bugger it, I'll get them. I've had them mounted onto the sides here. Obviously I can move them. You'll notice that the Dutchy plugs are just hanging here, not connected to anything. The idea being with these is where I've positioned them is for setup lights. So if I'm arriving at a campsite late at night, I've got leads in the back which I plug up to the mobility scooter battery I've got. Just clamp them on, plug them in, and boom, they're good. And to be honest, that battery will power these on continuously for about 3 days before it runs out. And you've got instant light whilst you're setting up everything else. As it happens so far, I've only used those once as well. Predominantly arrive at places towards the late afternoon where I've still got time to set up before it gets dark. Now, one thing you'll notice underneath here on the roof rack is these eyelets. I did touch upon these before. I bought these from Front Runner. There's little, I don't know if you can see them here, but there's little holes in the runners towards the middle where a specific nut size fits in, and then you can pull it along where you want and screw the eyelet in. Annoyingly, so far anyway, I could only find these eyelets that will fit the roof rack from Front Runner. Now, they're good, but Front Runner is $18 a pair, which seems a bit steep to me, but there we are. So I bought 2 pairs to put on these rooftop boxes. Now, after I bought these, I found out that Front Runner do a steel table which can actually go underneath the roof rack and lives under there. And they do a special kind of holder for it. But I couldn't put that on now because I've got these eyelets, so there's not enough room. The jerry can holder attaches directly into the top of the roof rack. Let me see if I can find a way to show you here. So it's got a little case it sits in, and then this barrier that goes over the top, which has got a lock on it, so people can't access the petrol or get the jerry can out without breaking the lock first, basically. So you can see here, for instance, those are the spaces. And this is kind of like the holder from the top. I bought a GoPro mount that fits into these runners, which I was going to put on the front. But then I discovered that it needs an attachment for the GoPro, which I haven't got. So that's currently sitting in the tray with the rest of my gump at the back. The CB antenna goes underneath and is just zip tied in. Zip tied it onto these barriers, and then it goes in there underneath. What else can I talk about? These grills, I bought these off Wish as well. They're about $20. They don't look amazing, but they do look pretty decent, and they do they do reduce the amount of bugs that go smashing through to your radiator. What I really want to get is like if you can get like a fabric to tie around before you go up north, to help stop the bugs, because I mean, you look at the license plate, for example, there's a lot of bugs being smashed into the front of this. The bull bar, I think I've talked about before, but the bull bar I got from JK Connect, which is a website that does aftermarket parts for the Jeep JK. It come in about a week, so very good. It cost about $900, and the mechanic who fitted it said he's never had a bull bar that was so easy to fit, was so well constructed, and basically the winch just slotted straight in. One thing I noticed afterwards, however, is because it's from the US, it hasn't got a space for license plate. This space between the lights here is too small for the South Australian plate, which is that size. You can't have it any other. You can have it thinner. You can have a square version to go on the back, but yeah, they're both too big basically. So a friend of mine helped me just create these brackets to go on, and just spray painted them black. One end, the top side is screwed on, and then we got tape on the other side, because the force is only ever going to be down really. So ironically, that's now far more secure than my back one. Alrighty. Right, the MaxTrax, which I haven't taken off once yet at all. So once again, that's an attachment from Front Runner. Where possible, I've gotten the Front Runner attachments because it's a Front Runner roof rack, and just for ease of use and compatibility issues. You can see here that you've got several markers, so you can actually adjust where you want the MaxTrax to be, in case, for example, if you were having it flat, it might catch on the door. But that one works for me. I can access the cases behind it quite easily. These are MaxTrax locking bolts. Bought these afterwards. So essentially, they just turn, so you can get the MaxTrax out. But when you turn them, so you're wondering why there's two, so you can have two pairs on there if you wanted. So you turn it, and you've got a hole to put a padlock. Now at the moment I've got a padlock on one end, which is doing the job as far as I'm concerned. If I come across another cheap combination lock, then I'll put another one on. The table and chair. The chair is I picked up from BCF. It's quite comfortable, but it is quite big. If I do make the decision to go with a rooftop tent and get the table to go underneath, I will also get the Front Runner collapsible chairs. I can't remember what they're called. And then I could do away with both of these, which do not compact down very small, in fairness. But that is comfy, you know. You can go down the beach and sit on that and relax. Whereas the other one is more like a director's chair. I'm not sure how comfy it would be, but look, it'll be more functional. Alright, the sun is really coming out now, and it's looking like a rather nice day, unlike this morning. Let's see what the solar panels are pumping out. I've got everything all over the place at the moment, organised a mess, as you can see. So maybe have a look at that later. Essentially, remember the name of these boxes, by the way. These are the Front Runner Wolfpack boxes, and they are designed to sit on top of each other. It's very handy. Inside one I've got a collapsible Front Runner soft case as well, where I keep my extra camera gear and electronics. Right, so it's currently the solar panels are pumping out about 66 watts, which isn't great because there's a bit of cloud coverage. Usually it's up to about 150, so maybe I might have to position them to get more out of it. There's the back of the fridge. I've just got them taped up with a Camberwell strap to minimize movement. Right. You can get these panels which attach to the top of the roof inside the Jeep, which dampen sound and heat, which I might look into before going up the north again. Right. This is Spot Gen 3 that my friend gave to me, and then I bought a subscription for online. It's basically like a personal EPIRB. Now you can pre-program it, or well, say pre-program. You go onto the website and you can enter like standard messages and allocate them to contacts. So, for example, if I press this button, it will send a message to all my contacts on there that I've listed on there, and which is a combination of email addresses and international phone numbers. It'll send a message just saying, "Hey, Ross here, everything okay? Just checking in. I hope you're enjoying following my travels." This one here just sends an update with my GPS location, and updates. There's a map you can view online, which I've sent a link to all my friends and family, so they can follow along to see exactly where I am. And I do mean exactly where I am. It updates, I think I've set it up to update every 30 minutes. And there's an OK button which sends another message, which I think is very similar, just saying all good in the hood, or something like that. Up here you've got these two buttons, which you've got to access by peeling them back. This one just means basically it's not an emergency, but I need help, so I send roadside assistance or something like that. This one, however, is the international SOS. You've got to press that down and hold it, and that basically sends a message just both to all your contacts and to the emergency authorities, giving them your exact GPS location, saying urgent attention needed. So I take this out when I'm walking. I just so I've put a Velcro strap on it, so I just attach it to my bag. Otherwise, when I'm driving around, I just stick it here in that little cubby hole, so that it can update every 30 minutes, and it updates a very nice map, which I'll show you here, top left. Yeah. Underneath my tent, I've just got a layer of tarp I got from Bunnings for like $10. It's not breathable, so it does like leave sweat underneath, but it's twofold for me. It's one, a layer between the swag and the ground, and in the case of an emergency, like if the fly sheet blows away or something and it's absolutely hammering down, I can use that as a waterproof shield. Anyway, I think that's about it for now. I'm going to tidy up inside now and maybe talk about some other stuff later if I do manage to get it tidy enough. But for me, yeah, this is a day of recovery after the walk. This afternoon I might go for a little drive to a couple of lookouts to get some photos of the other mountains. Yeah. Just doing this short little walking path next to the campsite. It's part of the homestead. Easy little loop that takes you back to the campsite. And let me just show you these. Look at these. It's beautiful. Crazy, right? Anyway, I've been told to keep my eyes open for wildlife, including lizards and snakes, so keep your eyes peeled. Alright, so I've just gone for a bit of a drive to take some photos around the golden hour of sunset, and just driving down this road I just realised that looking out towards the Nuff Bloll that I climbed this morning, it is still under a bank of clouds. So as you can see, the cloud is still covering the top of the Bluff Knoll, and it's almost sunset. It makes me feel a lot better. Good morning. Well, we're just leaving Mount Trio Bush Camp. I don't know if you can see out the window the wheat fields and everything, but absolutely beautiful part of the world. Thoroughly enjoyed staying here. I mean, for a bush camp, it's got everything you'd need. A very well stocked camp kitchen, and you know, they have communal campfires when conditions are permitting, I guess. And you've got this beautiful backdrop of the mountains just behind the farm. It's a working farm, so you know the actual campsite is down behind, just bordering up with the national park. You'll see from my other footage that there's some beautiful walks you can do around there with the wildflowers are out. I mean, if you come here into certain times of the season, I think it's September through to the end of October, the orchids are out and they do organise orchid tours. Unfortunately, I'm here in December and the orchids are pretty much done for the season. But the wildflowers are out in force. So I highly recommend it. There's a link in the comment section below, so if anybody wants to check it out. It's a really good base to set yourself on if you're exploring the Stirling Ranges, and especially if you want a little bit of peace and serenity. You haven't got any telephone signal in certain parts of the park, mind. So just be aware of that. But once again, that's a bit of a draw for some people. If you don't want to be disturbed by mobile phones or any kind of data connections and stuff, that's the place for you. They are working on getting Wi-Fi there, but it's probably a while off still yet. But look, highly recommend it. Beautiful place just to get away, and the stars last night, they were out. I was meant to get up and take some photos of the Milky Way around midnight, but I was absolutely exhausted last night and just slept straight through. I'm quite ashamed of myself, but hey, I guess I needed it.